The creator of much of our childhood nostalgia, a global media juggernaut, Disney. I remember I started watching Disney movies on VHS sitting on my blue carpeted floor as a baby. Disney shows throughout childhood and my teens, so yeah, I'm a little invested in knowing that my picturesque illusions of Disney aren't shattered. But too bad, because that's what I'm here to do today. Hi everyone, I'm Abby, and today I'm sharing with you 10 Disney conspiracy theories that will shock you, because they shocked me. Stay tuned to the end for some theories I personally have. Now let's start with number 10, Winnie the Pooh characters. The first theory on our list comes from an article published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, so pretty legit. And also, it's one of my longer forays into the material I'm studying, so buckle up. In 2000, Sarah Shea from the Division of Developmental Pediatrics at Dalhousie University wrote an article with her colleagues. This article journeys through diagnosing each of the main characters of Winnie the Pooh with different states of neurological disorders. I'm gonna give you the highlights of what the article alleges because it kind of goes in really deep. First, the title character, Winnie the Pooh, himself, they say, has ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, and OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. Second, the study says that Piglet has generalized anxiety disorder, which accounts for his anxious, blustering, and flustered demeanor. Third, it says that Eeyore has chronic dysthymia, or another way of saying he has persistent mild depression, and they say this explains his negative outlook. Next, it continues to say that Owl is bright, but dyslexic. And then finally, when it comes to Tigger, the article isn't final on anything, but they try to say his behaviors are hyperactive and impulsive. This article theorizes more about possible treatment plans for even more characters, and the ones listed above, it goes into even more detail. Plus, other people online have shared other arguments for what characters represent with different diagnoses, but I could deep dive on this one theory honestly for a full 10 minutes, but we have other things to do here, and we're only on number 10 of our list, and we need to keep going. On to number 9. Frozen, Kristoff, and Sven. So let's jump to a more recent Disney production, Frozen. In Frozen, we see Kristoff in warm clothes to keep cozy in the cold climate of Arendelle, and this makes sense. People harvest ice in this movie titled Frozen, so it's bound to be cold. That's not where this conspiracy theory is. We need to take a closer look at Kristoff's wardrobe, then to his adorable reindeer sidekick, Sven, then back to his wardrobe. See anything? Any similarities? There is a theory that Kristoff wears Sven's mom's pelt, wears it as it. Ice harvesters in Arendelle see this orphan Kristoff in blistering cold weather, so they dress him in the tanned hide of a reindeer. But these theories are suggesting that this reindeer hide is Sven's mom, because Sven doesn't have a mother in the movie either. Is Sven just a reindeer so he doesn't notice, or has Kristoff convinced him otherwise? It's something to think about, people, honestly. But anyways, on to number 8, Fairly Odd Parents. Now, this show aired both on Nickelodeon and Disney XD, so it makes the list of Disney theories. Plus, it's too interesting to skip, so good enough reason for me. What this theory suggests is that Timmy's fairies in the show are metaphors for antidepressants. Now, stick with me. The evidence people use is that they arrived when his problems began, then that they are only around when he needs them, as in needing them to balance out the chemical imbalance in his brain. There was also a moment in the episode Channel Chasers when it was mentioned that they would be around for a long time, like him using them for a long time. Importantly, there are side effects when he abuses his wishing powers, just like there are side effects for abusing prescription drugs for mental health illnesses. This might get you thinking about what the other fairies represent as well, so if you think of anything cool, just let me know in a comment. I want to hear it. Number 7. Calhoun from Wreck-It Ralph. Sergeant Calhoun from Wreck-It Ralph was a badass, no doubt. But there's an element of her backstory that I looked into that may give you some pause if you're thinking of putting her on a pedestal or something. On her wedding day, Calhoun's soon-to-be husband Brad was eaten by a cybug. The thing is, cybugs turn into what they eat. So, when the sergeant was firing at the creature and we don't see the beast itself, only Calhoun's face, the reality is she may have been shooting at a cybug with Brad's face on it. And that's some emotional trauma even Fix-It Felix can't touch. Number 6. Captain Hook and Ariel. Peter Pan came out in 1953 and brought with it the notorious pirate character Captain Hook. Already the villain in his own story, could he be the villain in another? Hitting fast forward over 50 years later, The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning comes out. It's a prequel to the 1989 classic and has Disney theorists bringing out that red string. The prequel revealed that Ariel's mom, Queen Athena, had been killed by pirates. And you see where I'm going with this? This is backed up by the fact that in a lagoon, we saw a bunch of mermaids, including a red-headed mermaid that looked pretty familiar in Peter Pan. So, could Hook be the leader of the crew of pirates that killed Queen Athena? Have you seen the hook on his hand? I think he could do it. He's a pirate. Now, number 5. Peter Pan. Sticking to the movie Captain Hook is in, let's switch to examine Peter Pan himself. Now this theory doesn't line up with the last one, so really if you like this one, it kind of invalidates the last one, so you have to pick which one you believe. This one needs some history with it, so we need to get all on the same page. Peter Pan the movie is based off J.M. Barrie's titular character in the play of the same name that came out in 1904, and on the book Peter and Wendy that came out a little later in 1911. Barrie also lost his brother when his brother was only 13, so people think this may be where he got the idea of never growing up. So where does this leave Peter Pan? The theory is that he is the angel of death and that Neverland is a form of afterlife. Pulling Captain Hook into this, the pirate could be seen as the devil if you look into this as a depiction of hell in the Christian sense, is what some people have been saying, but I have my own idea about Peter Pan as the angel of death that you can stick around here at the end of the video, but my own conspiracy theory spiral will have to wait, so let's skip that and jump to a princess movie next. Number 4. Prince Charming from Snow White. When you think Prince Charming, you think the classic embodiment of everything a princess should want, but in Snow White, this character may not be what he seems. Matt Morgan, a commentator on a BuzzFeed article, equated Prince Charming to the Grim Reaper. He listed a bunch of parallels. The first time Snow White sees Prince Charming, she is scared and nearly falls into a well and dies, mimicking a fear of death. 2. Her next brush with death is a poison apple, and then this prince comes riding in on a pale white horse. At the time of the movie's release, coming in on a pale white horse was a depiction of what Death rode himself. Then 3. The kiss of death. Death kissing Snow White to literally take the breath of life from her. Death as in the prince. And yeah, there's more. Do you remember Snow White and the prince riding off into a castle that was surrounded by clouds and golden light? And the dwarfs didn't follow them, instead they said goodbye? Well, that's because Morgan's theory states that the living can't follow them into heaven or a heavenly looking afterlife. So there's a dead princess theory for you. Now it's time to switch gears. And when I say gears, I mean number 3, we're talking about Cars. If you are familiar with the Pixar theory that all movies are connected, you and others will realize that there's a problem with the theory when it comes to the movie Cars. In the reality of Cars, it's a world without humans. The theory is that the human race in the future is wiped out, possibly murdered, and that cars have gained sentience. If you think this one is a little wild, don't think it's too far out there. Screen Crush interviewed Cars creative director Jay Ward, and his theory lines up. Ward theorized that Cars took over with their advanced AI and then adopted the personalities of their previous owners, took over and adopted the personalities like, no thank you. So let's check out another theory set in the future. This one's number 2, Aladdin. Now there's quite a few theories on Aladdin, but this one floating around the internet is that it's set in a post-apocalyptic future. This theory hinges on the fact that Genie wasn't in the lamp before the 3rd century, as it uses a line from the movie to back up its claims. Genie says Aladdin's clothes are much too 3rd century, therefore he wouldn't have been in the lamp at that time. He would have been just roaming around. That time for us is the year 300 in the Common Era, which is over 1700 years ago. The thing is, Genie mentions he's been stuck in the lamp for over 10,000 years, which moves our timeline way forward. So Agrabah could be a post-apocalyptic society that goes back to not using technology and could have been inspired by old ways. Finally, this theory is also backed up by the fact that Genie makes countless references to the 20th century, and while I might tie that to the fact it's a movie that came out in 1992, I say keep to continuity. And now for the most tragic and scary theory of them all. Number 1, Carl from Up. We all know I cried at the beginning of Up. Before anything bad actually happened, the movie had me in tears. But this theory just makes it all worse. I'm just gonna say it. What if Carl was dead the entire time? When I say the entire time, I mean once he is 78 years old after the tragic montage of waterfalling tears. The theory starts when Carl decides to follow his lifelong dream of going to Paradise Falls. His balloon equation is impossible, so this theory ventures to explain that by saying all of his experiences were symbolic and he was already dead by this point. They say his trip to Paradise Falls is a journey of acceptance guided by a guardian angel, wilderness explorer Russell. When they make it back to the city, it's also a symbolic meaning of making it back into heaven. Now within this, there's also a sub-theory that says Charles Muntz is a fallen angel selling hellhounds, the talking dogs, to drag Carl into the underworld. And so do with that one what you do. And well, that's the top 10 I have for you today. And what do you think? Which ones do you think hold some merit and which ones are you not so sure about? If there's one you want me to dive into more or one I didn't even talk about or touch on, just let me know. If you like the topic of Disney, let me know if you want to see what is rumored to be scary about Disneyland or Disney World, or also, like, let me know your favorite Disney movie because I want to have a movie marathon soon and I want to hear your recommendations. My favorite Disney movie is Tangled, and it's hard to change my mind, but you can try if you want to argue with me on that one. Oh, also, at the beginning of the video I said stick around for my theories, so let's start with that Peter Pan one, aka Angel of Death one. What I was thinking was that it might draw closer to Greek mythology. Hook would be more of a Hades character, ruler of the underworld, because Neverland would be the underworld in this case. Tinkerbell could be Charon or Charon, the ferryman that guided souls across the river Styx, or even take the word ferryman. Ferry like the boat ferry, or ferry like the Tinkerbell ferry, what I'm saying? And so where does that leave our boy Peter Pan? Peter Pan would be seen as Hermes, and Hermes isn't just a god that delivers dead souls to Charon, which in itself mirrors Peter Pan getting Tinkerbell's help to bring people to Neverland. Hermes, among other things, is also a god of trickery. Peter Pan, that's all I'm saying. So that's my Peter Pan one. And I have one more last one, just squeezing it in there, that I think that you maybe should think about with Aladdin. Maybe the timeline isn't as wild as that theory suggests. What if, instead of Agrabah being way in the future, the genie is bound to a different form of time, like a time traveler, eh? What do you think? Maybe? Yes, no? Alright, that's all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in. Bye!